how can your business leverage OpenAI secrets or something they're not telling outright to fuel your growth in 2026 as a CRO, as a revenue leader. So it's specifically with that in mind. And what we will cover today is really just going through what is, my background. I am like an award-winning speaker on like all these AI economy growth topics for various finance, real estate, but also generative AI global conferences and associations. I also have a startup that's founded in that regard and with some recognition in UK and US as well. So hopefully I'm the right person on this subject today. You'll be the judge. And what we will cover is really just some business growth opportunities OpenAI is not disclosing, is not talking openly, for good reasons, I guess. But you will know that after today's conversation. And we will also briefly cover how you as a CRO or revenue leader can leverage some of those LLM secrets to scale your own growth, for more scalable growth at least. And we'll also make it grounded in a real life case study of winning adapted businesses. So you can sort of like start to picture it in more tangible ways, not just theoretical ways. And then there's obviously a takeaways discussion, Q&A. Please do feel free to interrupt me during the presentation. It's much better if you have a burning question and ask it. So rather than me running off page without anyone with me. So that happened last time, I think. So I want to prevent that as much as possible. But yes, so that's the plot for today, and I will open it with something that Darwin said, which is, it is not the strongest of the species, nor the most intelligent that survive. It's the ones that adapt to change the fastest. And I want to just start with that in mind, and hopefully that will land in this conversation as well. And the second fact to mention, to state really, is that we live in the AI economy. Whether we like it or not, algorithms are patrolling all of the spaces that our business growth happens, whether it's LinkedIn or Google or ChatGPT or other social medias. It really is just a name for an algorithm that decides which businesses get what. I will send this presentation later, so don't worry if you can't read super fast. It kind of walks through like how much powerful the algorithms have become today, and really we have to reckon with them as growth leaders, revenue leaders, for scalable revenue. So in essence, what's happening with OpenAI, ChatGPT, but also others, Perplexity, Claude, your favorite LLM consultants that you use in your everyday, is they are basically redistributing growth currently. And the change is not only happening, it's accelerating. So, having said that, how can we adapt some of our growth strategies in the AI economy? Looking, of course, specifically at LLMs like ChatGPT, we have to look at what they're not saying outright. What are the hidden levers for your business that OpenAI just kind of doesn't mention black and white? You don't see Sam Altman tweeting it out just on willy-nilly. So the first thing they're not saying is LLMs act as consultants, or they're kind of replace consultants in some way. They are consultants today to millions of business customers. And in fact, could we have a show of hands who's using any Perplexity, ChatGPT day to day? So we are very high level, extremely leadership role business users, and there's millions of you guys out there in ChatGPT. So that's the first thing they're not saying. We are LLMs like ChatGPT are consultants. The second thing they're not saying is LLMs are a powerful new sales channels worth trillions now. So we're talking, it's a sales channel where these consultative conversations happen and customers are being referred to brands. So that's just a fact, a matter of fact. I will show you later as well. So they're worth trillions combined, like Perplexity, all these combined, ChatGPT. The third thing they're not saying is OpenAI, as well as others, are starting a new revenue stream from advertising and marketing. So because they send a lot of business users to a lot of brands, they count those referrals, customer referrals, they track those customer referrals. And the plan is to start to potentially get a bit of a payment for each referral, because they are high value customer referrals that convert at a much higher rate, because humans now trust AI consultants like they used to trust normal consultants. So they are planning to roll out also ads within LLMs. I can focus on that some other time. But OpenAI and others like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, are sales channels. And the fact that they are rolling out advertising and marketing revenue stream only doubles down on the fact that they are a sales channel for business customers. So, and the last thing they're not saying outright, which is I think a criminal offense, OpenAI is gatekeeping billions of queries that ChatGPT receives globally in the world. I will not expand a bit why I think it's criminal offense, but at the moment you can't get those queries, like what's being asked in ChatGPT, other than some shady backdoor events, which I'll talk about as an example. However, there are ways you can get some of those queries through your business personally in the business. I'll share that. But these are the 4 hidden growth levers OpenAI doesn't mention. And how can we in this room make the most of it next year to grow? Let's have a look. Just move on to next. So the truth is that whether we like it or not, winners of tomorrow, fastest adapted winners of tomorrow are already scaling customer referrals from unlimited LLM queries. That's happening. And what that is these first mover businesses are basically entering this white space and scooping it all. It's a white space opportunity. First movers are receiving high conversion customers from LLM queries, and that's just going to explode and grow more and more and more. And they're really challenging also Google as well with that. So some of these winners who are getting leads from ChatGPT are reporting that they could switch off their ads. They expanded in multiple locations. They've reported record-breaking sales year. Some of them are getting billionaire leads from ChatGPT because they target billionaire queries a billionaire would ask. So they're getting, high-value deals like £80,000 private island booking deals, from ChatGPT. Ranking, they're getting leads from globally because everyone in the world uses ChatGPT. Then it doesn't matter what location you're growing in. As long as the query is asked, you're gonna get those people. Please, thank you, Howard.
Yeah, I just wondered, like the use cases you're talking to here seem to be a lot of almost like retail consumer leads. Are you seeing the same in a B2B world? Are businesses generating leads through ChatGPT as well?
Yes, we are seeing conversion in business leads as well. They are typically a little bit longer sales cycle, as you would imagine, and the listings that attract, or your lead magnets in business have to be slightly different. It's not a private island that attracts your customer. Something else attracts your customers typically. So it could be some sort of service, or maybe it's a guide, or some other type of attractive solution. Maybe a recommendation of the best mortgage package, or it could be other things. But if you have a large amount of offerings like services or other types of listings, then you can also occupy those niches. And some niches lend themselves better than others. Like some niches have billions of queries, other niches have millions, other niches, it just depends a little bit on the niche. So it's not a one size reward, but certainly a massive opportunity, first time ever in our history of life, I guess.
Thank you. Our private island division's a little bit limited in its offering at the moment, so
However, it's funny because he's getting billionaires. They're also like a long sales cycle. The billionaires turns out are hard to close. But no, jokes aside, we are seeing both business and retail and sort of same opportunities. And in fact, we have so many data points on all kinds of brands, so we're happy to go through it in detail sometime. But how they do it is basically you have to, what people don't know is that LLMs like ChatGPT, to remain smart, they have to consume tons and tons of content. They have to scrape every single website, YouTube, Reddit. They scrape all of the internet, everything, your websites including. And the way you can train the ChatGPT is to publish a lot of content on website. You can publish it in Reddit, but Reddit owns the content. So it's better, it's one of the best places to publish it is on your website. And what this brand did is they published 7,000 landing pages answering all kinds of billionaire questions about private islands, or just answering their buyer questions, frequently asked questions, and so on. And they've trained ChatGPT to use their content, answer the queries using their content for that location, for that question, for that customer, and increased deal flow from ChatGPT this way. So that those assets they put out, website assets, got consumed by all of the LLMs, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, all of them. And in return, those LLMs gave back queries they used it for, and they gave back customer referrals because they use your business asset. In exchange, you get reported which queries they used it for. They must do that. So that's how you can collect thousands and thousands of queries from ChatGPT that are paragraph long. Like, it's qualitative gold we're talking, because business users are confessing sins we've never heard in a meeting before. They trust ChatGPT like it's a private instance, but it's not really. You can get that data, and you can get those insane insights, and also deal flow. So queries and deals, customer referrals. Thank you, Rachel.
So practically, how do you actually get all those queries, those qualitative queries?
Yeah. So a good starting place is to look at all kinds of trending topics and your own knowledge of frequently asked questions. So you launch the first batch, let's say 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 content pages they must be discoverable and visible for AI, not blocked by anything. And then you get the first batch of queries, and you'll get those queries. You'll launch another set of content for those queries that are so aligned and so targeted, and then you'll get even more queries. So it becomes like a very data flywheel growth engine digitally, where you train your consultant in LLM which never sleeps, never eats, never asks for salary. Well, they might ask some fees for referrals, but yeah, so that's kind of how you can leverage your own website assets. They do scrape Reddit, so you can publish in Reddit, but Reddit gets the queries that get used for all the content. So you want to own the queries yourself, and the way to do it is through your private domain website digital entity, which is your domain. You're the owner, not LinkedIn, not Reddit. And these are the examples of how the queries look. They come in with very long paragraph, like we're talking confessional style here, with, as a leader, CFO leader in this business of that size, they really distill it all. And I guess an interesting anecdote to mention to kind of illustrate is that, like, even Israel is buying queries now from ChatGPT on certain topics that they care about in the world, because they realize that LLMs are worldly knowledge. They need a lot of information and data. They scrape everything, including the websites. So you can manipulate high reputation websites to talk about stuff in the way you want it to be represented. And LLMs will use that to represent the information. So it's like a secular knowledge base. So this is just to show that you can not weaponize your own website, but you can absolutely employ your own sales consultant in ChatGPT through your website and get quantitative, qualitative information as well as the leads. And I guess maybe one of the last things to mention here is that there's a direct correlation with how many customer referrals businesses get to how many deep content assets they have on their website. And that's just a one-to-one correlation, unfortunately or fortunately. So quality volume is important. Yes, David, thank you.
Sorry, it took me a good chunk of time to figure out how to put my hand up. Because there are different types of users in ChatGPT, so those that are paying the subscription, and are their queries as open to all of this as anybody else?
Yes.
Kind of any query that goes in can be pulled back?
Correct. Initially, they tried to separate paid versus non-paid and realized they're getting a very small amount of data this way, so they just made it public to everyone. So it's all ungated at the moment, and it should remain ungated. In fact, they should release the LLM queries, because our content is training LLMs. Our websites are training LLMs. They should make the transparency available for everyone. But at the moment, and we don't know how long, they don't share those transparently. Yeah.
It'll be regulatory driven, probably, I guess.
Exactly, and it's very typical. Tech is ahead, and legislation only catches up, so it could take 5-10 years. We don't know.
And so they are still saying that the assets you give it are protected. Effectively, if I upload an Excel spreadsheet, whatever, but the query itself is public.
Is public, but they don't share it publicly. They only report.
Only when you transact.
Correct. When you transact, it's yours. You can get that. And yeah, I guess it was a fast-paced chat here. I think to leave enough space for maybe a discussion debate. But I guess my question back to you is like, how will you adapt OpenAI's secrets to grow your sales from LLMs, queries, and customer referrals in 2026? And the fastest adapting will be the winners, as Darwin observed. Let's hope we're one of those. And I guess one thing I offer is consultations on these matters as well, and as well as training of the team. So we help businesses run AI first growth and all of those types of upskilling. So happy to help here. But other than that, it's more back to questions and answers, and back to Josh, I guess.
I'm happy to chime in with a question first, unless anyone wants to go ahead of me. I'll go. Perhaps this is me being stupid, which is highly likely. I guess I'm just struggling with where to start, right? I'm thinking about this a lot. We have 6-7 years of content at the moment that's all password protected behind something. And my initial thinking was, how do we run that through AI to build out transcripts or articles that then we distribute into landing pages,
Yeah.
Seems sensible based on everything you've just said in terms of potential discoverability. But like, how do you start with the best foot forward? So if I want to choose 100 articles to start with, can I use ChatGPT to essentially point me in the right direction of the topics that we should cover based on the library of stuff that we have?
So the best way to do it is to identify most popular searched topics using channels that gather trends. So Ahrefs or SEMrush, that's like a very good starting point to identify topics and words in which people search for, their pain point or solution topics, and maybe identify first 10 or first 100. So then align, highest volume searches with highest conversion searches. There's few ways to slice and dice this type of work. And then you want to align 100 blogs, articles featuring your relevant content, as cards, as listings, that if you want to explore more on the subject, here are the 6 videos you should watch. And bam, when you click, you have to log in, you have to pay. So you want to leverage the library of content you have as excerpts, as tiny listings items. Again, that's your IP. You do want to keep the full videos behind login walls, because otherwise AI will scrape it. So you just want to present, here's the person, here's the summary of the conversation, here's the location it happened, here's the business it will help for. So you want to summarize the spec of those conversations and use the 1,000 listings as your rich library to basically target LLMs, because LLMs love content-rich, data-rich landing pages. So it has an article, it has recommended videos, it has recommended other articles you could read, it has recommended reviews of people who engaged, etc. So they call that deep content, rich content, and they love to push those out forward. So it's not just a blog page, it's commercially useful and just rich page. Like the best analogy is like a brochure. You think of it as like a digital brochure, and they love that. They will push you forward more than anything else. And if you just write an article, they will classify that as shallow content, boring. We need rich stuff on it as well. So
have you got like a templated structure or winning structure for that?
Yeah, actually, Marlum is kind of born to match landing LLMs with their demands for rich structure, but also easy to access structure, but also fast loading structure, because OpenAI and others are a little bit stuck on processing costs, and they can only promote businesses that cost the cheapest for them to process. So if your SEO or AEO has to be 10 out of 10 to be visible and recommended, because they don't have enough database and power and all those costs now that are, those anecdotes. It costs them more to serve us than, so some Saudi Arabian investor is paying for all of our queries. So yeah, you have to be super efficient, lean, well structured. It's quite demanding to meet the algorithm requirements, but I can send the template structure as a guideline. You can try build it yourselves. You'll soon find it's too boring and laborious, but that's those structures are out there. I can share.
And the landing pages that you build, they're meant to be attached as like a subdomain to main domain. Because, for example, we build a lot of landing pages in HubSpot, but then domain is slightly different. So, like, we would instead build it as a subdomain on CRO-connected.com.
It's better to attach everything on your main domain because your main domain has the most authority. It's the most respected. Algorithms just prefer domains. So you have to figure out a way to attach everything under a subpath on your main domain and make that main domain so big and huge and unignorable. Like in digital space, you're the big dog, basically. And that's the way to do it. Everything on main domain, as much as possible, as quality as possible. And then you'll be like scalability, revenue scalability, just gold. I've seen it quite a few times, and main domain is king.
Cool. I'm hogging this, but I got one more. So I'll ask that, and then I promise anybody else just jump in, tell me to shut up. You said at the last summit about like writing ads for robots versus humans. Like, how does the tone change on a landing page then if you want it to be discovered by an LLM, essentially convert a human? Is there a difference? Am I looking too deeply into that?
So you have to structure it for good user experience, and good user experience means lots of pictures and clear text and good tone of voice, all of those things. But also structure it technically soundly for AI to read it all. So because they will also rebuild it in their own overviews, they will rebuild it the way they want it. So it has to satisfy human interface and algorithm interface at the same time, which is a bit like, it is a bit, while we are upskilling in this realm, it takes a little time to figure it out. Obviously, we've done it a few times. We've kind of seen what's working a bit. But you can always analyze your competitors that appear in ChatGPT, because there's disruptor brands all over the place that already are leveraging it. So you can go into their recommended pages and see what did they do? How did they structure everything? If you're a little bit technical, you should also investigate the technical setup there a bit as well, I'll be honest. And yeah, you can copy them and make it a little bit better. If your reputation is higher than theirs, you will be recommended. They care about highest reputation brands, I'll be honest, more than anything else.
Okay. So then does that take into account, say you've got a landing page, does your pre-existing search volume or traffic matter? So like if I start a new brand tomorrow and put 1,000 articles towards a specific customer and none of them have got views,
yeah,
any difference?
Authority score matters, and historical performance of content matters as well. So you will have to go through warm-up phase to get that going, and it takes a little time. Organically, it takes 6 to 9 months. I'll just be transparent that organic is a bit, investment upfront type of thing. Any more questions? I appreciate we're at the time a little bit, but if there's more time, happy to stay around and answer more questions. Yeah.
Delange, if you don't mind, if I can ask one. One of the things I'm still just sort of struggling with at a more fundamental level, it seems like there's this ongoing arms race between the different LLMs at the moment, different releases, and Genesis is going straight past ChatGPT and so forth. It's almost like the the iPhone release versus the Google phone, etc., etc. The way you described taking an approach with focus pretty much on ChatGPT, are the tactics that you're describing universal for all the LLMs? Is it pretty consistent at this stage?
Exactly. It's pretty consistent, and I will spoil the ending for you. Google owns it all. It's Google who comes at the top. They will overnight make Google homepage like a Gemini, ChatGPT type of experience. They're just allowing other puppies to experiment, ruin their own reputations, roll out all kinds of whatever. Google wins it all. Google owns Gemini. Google owns AI overviews. Already 2 products compared to others. Perplexity arguably is also some Google shady connection there, but anyway, I won't go into that detail. So the tactics we shared here work for all of the channels. They're all built on top of either Bing or Google algorithms, or augmenting those algorithms. So it works for all of those channels, and we we personally work with all of those channels, and sometimes you'll see Claude doing better, sometimes you'll see Perplexity doing better, and it kind of depends which niche is used by which customers, business users, and some prefer Perplexity, some swear by Claude, others just use the OG ChatGPT, but it works for all the channels, and you will discover which sales channel is yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time. Like I said, happy to grab a chat, or just if I meet you at the on the 11th Christmas party. But yeah, that's all from me here.
Has anybody else got any more questions? Because feel free to chime in, I guess, whilst we've got a couple of minutes left.
Jolanta, what's the sort of best way you've seen companies integrate this into their existing teams to start doing it?
Yeah, the best way we've seen is, well, so I think personally, but I'm a little bit biased because that's where I saw the fastest growth. We have a director who has a small team, and they used AI assisted workflows instead of agencies. So that was the fastest way for them to iterate first batch of content, get the feedback, then put another batch of content, and he just outperformed CBRE in terms of what results he's getting with his small team. And in fact, I just met Rightmove competitors who are also super small, and they are just employing all these smart tools to assist their growth, and are competing with Rightmove, who are obviously massive, extremely huge. And another example was this leader, Tom Newbold at Timeline, which is a finance brand. He took 1 billion revenue to 9 billion revenue. And the way he did it was he hired an intern who tried all of the tools and processes and workflows. And his job was to report the findings for best, fastest assistance tools. So that's all that intern did, tried all kinds of tools and put it in their team, small team of also 5 people. So revenue, marketing, ops team is 5 people, but they really doubled down on clever tools. So it's a bit like American approach. It's a US approach to be, more scalable and faster iterations. So those are the anecdotes I heard from leaders like Tom Newbold. That Timeline is kind of a next level, really. Just the mindset. I learned a little bit more from him. So if you guys want to chat to him, I think he's a very smart person to talk about it. But yeah.
Anybody else? I guess I'm just thinking, and Jerry, this is probably something you can input on too. Like we did an experiment last year where we cold call lists with the pure intention to get them to give us permission to send them a landing page, on the basis that they would read it, essentially. And if it was useful, they'd tell us. If it was not useful, they didn't have to tell us anything. But we found that a really useful way to actually get into active conversations versus call ups, ask for meetings, stuff like that. Like, I'm just thinking, if we start tomorrow, build 100 landing pages based on content we assume to be useful, and we go and do the same process, like, is that I mean, I'm guessing that could be one of the quickest ways to go from zero to, I guess, some layer of discoverability, so these LLMs trust you, so then you can start to
exactly
right?
Exactly. It's the fastest way is to get those first 100 pages out there, get what's working, what's not working, allow some to die, and then you'll start to get that performance feedback fast. And the second iteration will be nothing like the first iteration. So it's almost like the speed of iterating the growth engine is kind of also what matters here. So, and then you can sort of become more volume driven once you discovered, they call marked apple, what works, what's landing. And because LLMs have a higher trust threshold, they tend to convert a bit better as well. And if you have like a value add offering, something fast to consume, like, well, in Josh's case, there's these videos that you can upskill yourself fast on various questions. So then it becomes like a fairly tight growth loop.
Interesting. Yeah. Joe, have you got any input on that, by the way? Have you used this?
I think the one thing I like about this is because of the pace of it and the iterative nature of it and the comprehensive data you can get back from it, you can actually speed up your cycles on message improvements, on ICP mapping, on sort of which pieces actually work versus the ones that you want to work versus the things that actually work. And you can actually find ways to sort of dovetail it into some of your other sort of channel plays that you want to test for, rather than it just being a sort of standalone acquisition channel. So I actually think it goes out a lot wider into a more comprehensive sales and marketing strategy as opposed to it just being like an acquisition vehicle, which is where most people I think are leaving traditional SEO and PPC because you just simply can't curate the data at the speed that you need to. But with the sort of modern marketeer's mindset, which is towards science and split testing and asset value and asset monetization, with a lot of marketing leaders being put under pressure for revenue metrics now, not just objective-based metrics. All of a sudden, you've got to see speed to revenue from these assets as well. That I don't think you can get in a traditional SEM kind of world. But I also like your point, Josh, the ability to blend it with other channels and sort of utilize assets further down the funnel. It doesn't necessarily need to be like the funnel above the top of the funnel, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of additional use cases that are going to emerge beyond just trying to displace SEM budgets with LLM search.
Yeah, and
I see from this stuff.
One anecdotal story from a finance leader who said, "Oh my God, we could build an encyclopedia, but what's the point of building an encyclopedia online?" And actually now there's a good point of building an encyclopedia of answers to questions because for the first time ever you can scoop qualitative data, just those thousands of queries, and that alone is like a piece of data that will make you advantageous against any other business out there who can't at the moment. Nobody in the world can get qualitative data from ChatGPT and others. So I guess there are multiple applications of how we can get ChatGPT's secrets, leverage their secrets. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, I think it's been super useful. I always say if I want to feel incredibly stupid, I'll speak to Jolanta, and this has definitely not been any exception to that rule. I'm guessing nobody else has got anything else to share, to ask, whilst we're just before I click the leave now button. I'm guessing everybody's good. I'm going to take that as a yes. Cool. December the 11th, that's the next in-person event. It's at the same place where we did the last one, St. Ethelbert's Cathedral, just off Liverpool Street. It's going to start a little bit later. So it's going to start at 7 versus 6:30, which I assume just makes it easier for people to get there on time anyway. So I will see you all there, and Jolanta, just from me, I guess from everybody else, just a massive thanks for sharing, for preparing, for giving away the stuff that you know and should get paid for the benefit of all of us. So thank you.
Thank you so much. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, bye.